Captain Jack Harlow was having a terrible day, even by the standards of someone who couldn't die. The Kryllian plasma bolt that had just blown a hole through his chest was the 37th hit he'd taken in this firefight alone, and frankly, it was getting old. "Sir, you should really fall back and let the medics," began the young private cowering beside him. "Kid, the only thing I need right now is more ammo," Jack replied, slapping a fresh magazine into his rifle. "And maybe a cigarette." "Actually, definitely a cigarette." The private stared in horror as the gaping wound in Jack's chest slowly knitted itself back together, the charred flesh rebuilding cell by cell. It never stopped being disgusting to watch. "But sir, that's not possible." Jack rolled his eyes. "Tell that to the idiots in R&D who thought injecting me with experimental nanites was a good career move. 5 years since that lab accident, and here I am, still waiting for death's sweet embrace." He popped up from behind the barricade and fired a burst at the advancing Kryllians, their insectoid bodies scattering as 3 of them dropped. The battle for Outpost Zeta 9 wasn't going well for Earth's forces, but then again, when did it ever? Back at headquarters, Commander Elena Vega was watching the battle footage with a mixture of frustration and resignation. On screen, Jack took another direct hit, this time to the face, before continuing to fire as his features reassembled themselves. "He's doing it again," she muttered to her aide. "The brass is going to have my ass." Lieutenant Diana Rogers, recently transferred from Mars Colony Defense, raised an eyebrow. "Permission to speak freely, ma'am." "Granted," Vega sighed, already knowing what was coming. "Why is Harlow still in the field? Shouldn't he be in a lab somewhere? He's practically a walking violation of the laws of physics." Vega laughed, though there was no humor in it. "We tried that. 3 different research facilities. He escaped from all of them and somehow found his way back to the front lines. Said, and I quote, 'If I can't die properly, I might as well spend eternity killing alien bugs.'" Diana studied the footage more closely. Despite his irreverent attitude, Harlow was a tactical genius. His squad had the lowest casualty rates in the entire human defense force, precisely because he used himself as a living shield and distraction. "How did it happen?" she asked. Vega called up the file on her tablet. 5 years ago, during the Battle of Europa. Harlow's transport was hit, and he was the only survivor, barely. Medical shipped him to an experimental treatment facility where they were testing combat regeneration tech. The procedure went catastrophically wrong, or right, depending on your perspective. And now he can't die. "Oh, he dies," Vega corrected. "All the time. His heart stops, brain function ceases. But then those damn nanites reboot his system. We've recorded him flatlining 412 times. Longest duration of clinical death was 8 minutes, 42 seconds after a Kryllian destroyer dropped a building on him." Diana whistled. "And his psychological evaluation? Sarcastic asshole before, sarcastic immortal asshole now. Only difference is he's developed a remarkably dark sense of humor about the whole thing." Vega paused the footage as Jack took another hit. "The problem is, he's becoming reckless. Not just with himself, but sometimes with mission parameters. Like he's trying to find the thing that will finally kill him for good." Back on the battlefield, Jack was advancing on the Kryllian position alone, using his body as a one-man assault wave. Bullets and plasma bolts tore through him, but he kept walking forward, firing methodically. "Sir." The radio in his ear crackled. "Captain Harlow, fall back. That's an order." "Sorry, Command," Jack replied cheerfully. "You're breaking up. Must be all these holes in my body interfering with reception." He reached the Kryllian barricade and vaulted over it, landing in the midst of the chittering aliens. They screeched in terror, his reputation had spread even among the enemy forces. They called him Deathless One in their clicking language. Jack dropped a grenade at his feet. "Catch, fellas." The explosion ripped through the alien position, taking Jack with it. For a blissful moment, there was darkness. Then the familiar, hated sensation of reassembly. Limbs regenerating, organs reforming, consciousness dragging him back to the living world he couldn't seem to escape. He sat up amid the carnage, his uniform in tatters, and sighed heavily. 2 days later, Jack was summoned to Commander Vega's office, which never boded well. To his surprise, Lieutenant Diana Rogers was there too, looking crisp and professional in her uniform. "Captain Harlow," Vega said coldly. "Your actions at Outpost Zeta 9 were in direct violation of tactical protocols." Jack shrugged. "But effective. That's not the point and you know it. With all due respect, Commander, what are you going to do? Kill me?" Diana stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "Is everything a joke to you, Captain?" Jack studied her for a moment. She was new, fiery, and hadn't yet been broken by the grinding horror of the war. He almost envied her. "Not everything, Lieutenant. Just my continued existence." Vega massaged her temples. "Jack, we've been through this. The nanites can't be removed without killing you." "That's kind of the point," he replied dryly. "And we need you alive," she continued as if he hadn't spoken. "The Kryllians are developing new weapons. Intelligence suggests they're specifically designed to counter your condition." That got Jack's attention. "You mean they might actually be able to kill me? For real?" "Don't sound so hopeful," Diana muttered. "Lieutenant Rogers has been assigned to your squad," Vega said. "She'll be monitoring your field operations and reporting directly to me." Jack groaned. "A babysitter?" "Come on, Elena." "Commander Vega," she corrected sharply. "And it's not up for discussion. Lieutenant Rogers has a background in xenobiology. She might be able to help us understand what the Kryllians are planning." Jack turned to Diana with newfound interest. "Xenobiology, huh? Ever dissected an immortal human before?" "No, but I'm starting to see the appeal," she replied smoothly. Despite himself, Jack grinned. Maybe this arrangement wouldn't be so bad after all. Their first mission together came sooner than expected. A Kryllian scout ship had been detected near Jupiter's moons, and Jack's squad was tasked with boarding it to gather intelligence. As they suited up in the dropship bay, Diana watched Jack check his weapons with practiced efficiency. There was something almost melancholic about how he handled them, like old friends. "Why do you do it?" she asked suddenly. "Do what?" "Check my weapons." "Force of habit from when I could actually die." "No. Why keep fighting if you hate being immortal so much? You could just walk away." Jack paused, considering the question seriously for once. "Because every Kryllian I kill is one less that can hurt someone who actually has something to live for." He glanced at her. "Plus, I'm really, really good at it." The dropship lurched as it launched from the carrier, and the squad braced for insertion. Jack took point as they approached the Kryllian vessel, magnetically attaching to its hull before cutting their way inside. The firefight was immediate and intense. Kryllians poured out of the ship's interior chambers, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the emergency lights. Jack moved with practiced ease, taking hits meant for his teammates, drawing fire, and never staying down. Diana watched him die twice during the first 10 minutes of the engagement, once from a direct hit to the heart, and again when a Kryllian officer sliced his head partially off. Each time, he got back up with a sarcastic quip and continued fighting. They pushed deeper into the ship, heading for the command center. That's when they found it, a laboratory filled with strange equipment. At the center stood a glowing weapon unlike anything they'd seen before. "Well, that looks ominous," Jack remarked, approaching it carefully. "Don't touch it." Diana called out, scanning the device with her equipment. "It's generating some kind of anti-regenerative field. It might be the thing that can kill me." Jack finished, a strange hope in his voice. "Neat." Before Diana could stop him, a Kryllian scientist emerged from hiding and fired the weapon. The blast hit Jack square in the chest, and he dropped like a stone. But unlike every other time, he didn't start regenerating immediately. Diana eliminated the scientist with a clean headshot, then rushed to Jack's side. His eyes were wide with surprise, and for the first time since she'd met him, there was fear there too. "This is different," he gasped. "I can't feel the nanites working." Diana frantically examined the wound. "They're trying," she said, watching the microscopic machine struggle against whatever the weapon had done. "But something's blocking them." Jack's laugh turned into a cough, blood speckling his lips. "After 5 years, all it took was one bug with a fancy gun." "Don't you dare," Diana snapped, applying emergency medical procedures. "You don't get to be happy about this." The rest of the squad secured the laboratory as Diana worked. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, Jack's nanites began to overcome the weapon's effects. The regeneration was much slower than usual, but it was happening. "Damn it," Jack muttered as consciousness fully returned. "So close." Diana helped him sit up. "I've collected data on the weapon. We need to get this back to command immediately." Jack nodded, the brief hope of permanent death fading from his eyes. "Right. Save humanity. That's still the job." As they extracted from the Kryllian ship, Diana noticed Jack looking at her differently. When she questioned him about it, he shrugged. "Just thinking that immortality might not be the worst sentence if there are still some mysteries left to solve." He nodded toward the data on the Kryllian weapon. "Like how they almost killed the unkillable." "Is that a compliment, Captain?" "Don't let it go to your head, Lieutenant." But there was something new in his voice, not quite hope, but perhaps a reason to keep going. As their dropship docked with the carrier, Commander Vega was waiting, her face grim. "We have a situation," she said without preamble. "The Kryllians have launched a major offensive. And they're all carrying those weapons." Jack exchanged a look with Diana. "Well," he said with dark humor, "this should be interesting. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses." Diana found Jack staring out the viewport at the massive Kryllian mothership. 3 Earth carriers had already been destroyed, their wreckage floating like cosmic debris around Jupiter's orbit. The Kryllians' new anti-regenerative weapons were turning the tide of the war with frightening speed. "Command is assembling a strike team," she said. "They want to hit the mothership directly, destroy their weapon production facility." Jack didn't turn. "Suicide mission." "Pretty much. I assume I'm volunteered." Diana hesitated. "Vega wants you to lead it. You're the only one who survived a hit from their new weapons." "Survived is a generous term," Jack said, rubbing his chest where the wound had taken nearly 6 hours to heal. "The nanites barely pulled through. That's 6 hours longer than anyone else would last." Jack finally looked at her. "You know what's funny? For 5 years, I've been looking for something that could kill me. Now that the Kryllians have it, all I can think about is stopping them from killing everyone else." Diana smiled slightly. "Character development. How inconvenient." "Tell me about it." Jack straightened up. "When do we leave?" "Oh, 600. Team of 6. Jack raised an eyebrow. I'm coming too. Those weapons are based on xenobiological principles. You need me to figure out how to shut them down. It's a one-way trip, Lieutenant. Some things are worth dying for. Even you must believe that, or you wouldn't keep fighting." 6 hours later, their stealth shuttle detached from the carrier. Jack had selected the team personally: Cruz, the explosives expert; Winters, the sniper; Lee, the tech specialist; and the Prescott twins, Ellie and Ryan, who moved with perfect synchronicity. They reached a massive chamber filled with production lines creating the anti-regenerative weapons. At the center stood a device the size of a small shuttle, pulsing with the same energy as the weapons, only thousands of times stronger. Diana scanned it, her face paling. "It's a bomb." They're planning to detonate it in Earth's atmosphere. The anti-regenerative field would blanket the planet, preventing any cellular repair. Everyone would die, Ryan said. Wounds wouldn't heal, diseases wouldn't be fought off. And immortal super soldiers would finally stay dead, Jack finished. New plan. Crews, rig this place to blow. Rest of you, clear an exit path. Diana and I are going to make sure that bomb never reaches the launch bay. We need to sabotage the guidance system, Diana whispered as they approached the bomb. Without it, they can't target Earth. And how do we do that without alerting the entire hive? Diana bit her lip. Someone needs to create a distraction. Jack sighed dramatically. Why is it always me who has to get shot to pieces? Because you're the only one who gets up afterward, she replied with concern. Those weapons significantly slow your regeneration. Jack stepped out into the open and fired into the air. Hey! Bug faces. Remember me? The guy you can't kill. The first anti-regenerative blast caught him in the shoulder, the second hit his leg. Unlike normal injuries, these didn't start healing immediately. Each hit accumulated, slowing him down more. Diana worked frantically on the bomb's guidance system. When she finally looked up, Jack was surrounded, his body riddled with wounds that glowed with eerie energy. Get to the shuttle, he managed. I'll keep them occupied. I'm not leaving you, Diana insisted, helping him to his feet despite his protests. An explosion rocked the chamber, Cruz's charges detonating. They encountered heavy resistance on their way back. By the time they reached the shuttle bay, Jack had taken several additional hits and was barely conscious. Cruz was at the controls, with the Prescott twins covering the entrance. There was no sign of Lee or Winters. We're not going to make it, Cruz shouted. Too many of them blocking the bay doors. Jack struggled to his feet. Get me to the bay control panel. I'll open the doors manually and hold them off while you launch. Diana grabbed his arm. You'll be trapped here. Even you can't survive the vacuum of space. Jack gave her a weary smile. Maybe not. But the nanites have surprised me before. He touched her face briefly. If I finally get my wish and die, at least it'll be for something that matters. Jack staggered toward the bay controls and smashed the emergency override. The bay doors began to open, atmosphere venting violently. Kryllian troops were sucked toward the opening as the shuttle engines fired, carrying his team to safety. Jack held on to the control panel, feeling his lungs collapse as darkness crept into his vision. He awoke in a medical bay 3 weeks later. Commander Vega informed him that the mission was successful, the Kryllian mothership destroyed, and their forces in retreat. How did I survive? Jack asked, frowning. Vega handed him a tablet displaying security footage. Your nanites prioritized preserving your brain function while your body adapted to vacuum exposure. By the time our recovery team reached the debris field, you had developed a sort of exoskeleton. So I'm even harder to kill now, he said flatly. Fantastic. I've spent 5 years trying to die. It's hard to adjust to the idea that I might be stuck here for, who knows how long. Perhaps you've been asking the wrong question, came Diana's voice from the doorway. Instead of, how do I die, maybe try, how do I live? Diana told him she would be running the research team studying his nanites' adaptation to space. After 5 years of trying to die, the prospect of living suddenly didn't seem so terrible. Well, he said finally, I suppose if I'm stuck here, I might as well make myself useful. But fair warning, immortality has made me an insufferable patient. Diana laughed. I've seen you shot 37 times and ask for more ammo. I think I can handle insufferable. The Kryllians, for their part, added a new warning to their military manuals: if engaged with the human-designated Deathless Terror, do not, under any circumstances, shoot him. It only makes him angry. Jack found this enormously funny, which was perhaps the surest sign that he was finally healing, not just physically, but in all the ways that mattered most. 1 year later, Jack Harlow stood before the Galactic Peace Summit in a stiff dress uniform. "Stop fidgeting," Diana whispered. "I wasn't built for diplomacy," Jack muttered. "I was built to get shot at." The Kryllian ambassador approached, mandibles clicking. "The Deathless One honors us." Jack forced a smile. "Just trying to kill time. Turns out I have a lot of it." The Kryllian presented Jack with a ceremonial weapon that supposedly could kill anything. Jack accepted it with surprising grace. Later, Diana asked, "What will you do with that weapon?" "Mount it on my wall as a reminder." "Of what?" Jack squeezed her hand. "That immortality isn't a curse if you find the right people to spend it with." Behind them, the stars stretched endlessly, much like Jack's potential future, no longer a sentence but a horizon filled with possibilities. And ammunition. Lots of ammunition.